Effective January 1st, 2019, the state of Ohio will be implementing a revision of the current OH-1 crash report form. The Ohio Crash Report has typically been revised every 5 to 10 years, but changes that mandate implementation by April 2019 forced this revision. The state of Ohio would have lost millions of dollars in federal funding had these changes not been implemented. The changes relate to classification of injury severity in a crash. The Ohio Department of Public Safety was tasked with completing a review of the current Ohio Crash Report. The committee assembled was from groups or organizations such as the Ohio Association of Chiefs of Police, Buckeye State Sheriff's Association, the Ohio Department of Transportation, the Ohio State Highway Patrol, Traffic Records Coordinating Committee, and the Fatality Analysis Reporting System. The Ohio Department of Public Safety was tasked. The review process was a line-by-line assessment of the current crash report form. With input from the members of the committee, suggested changes were outlined. The focus of the group was to reduce redundant data while ensuring the proper caption of the information reported in the form. Statistical analysis of current captions was used to determine the effectiveness of the current reporting. That information helped to shape proposed revisions. The two source documents used that aided in the revision were the Model Minimum Uniform Crash Criteria Guideline, 5th edition 2017, and the Manual on Classification of Motor Vehicle Traffic Crashes, 8th edition. The changes outlined are highlights. Please reference the revised OH-1 manual for more details and explanation of the captions. A secondary crash box was added. This box should be checked when the crash occurs within a traffic incident scene or within a traffic queue in either direction resulting from a prior traffic incident. Detailed explanation on private property crashes was added into the OH-1 manual. Please reference the manual for guidance on whether a crash is private property or not. The location of the crash is where the first harmful event occurred. This is a location that should be referenced throughout the location captions. The crash date and time captions were condensed into one caption. When entering the date and time, use a 2-digit month, 2-digit day, 4-digit year, skip one space, and 4-digit time. This same format will apply to crash reported date and time, dispatch date and time, arrival date and time, and scene cleared date and time. GPS coordinates will now only be accepted in decimal degrees format. The crash severity classifications have changed. 1. Fatal. Any injury that results in death within 30 days after the motor vehicle crash in which the injury occurred. 2. Serious injury suspected is any injury other than fatal which results in one or more of the following: severe laceration resulting in exposure of underlying tissues, muscles, organs, or resulting in significant loss of blood; broken or distorted extremity, arm or leg; crush injuries; suspected skull, chest, or abdominal injury other than bruises or minor lacerations; significant burns, 2nd and 3rd degree burns over 10% or more of the body; unconsciousness when taken from the crash scene, paralysis. 3. Minor injury suspected is any injury that is evident at the scene of the crash other than fatal or suspected serious injuries. Examples include lump on the head, abrasions, bruises, minor lacerations, cuts on the skin surface with minimal bleeding and no exposure of deeper tissue or muscle. 4. Injury possible. Any injury recorded or claimed which is not a fatal, serious injury, or minor injury. Examples include momentary loss of consciousness, claim of injury, limping, or complaint of pain or nausea. Possible injuries are those that are reported by the person or are indicated by his or her behavior, but no wound or injuries are readily evident. 5. Property damage only. There is no reason to believe that any person received any bodily harm from the motor vehicle crash. There is no physical evidence of injury, and the person does not report any change in normal function. Intersection-related captions have also changed. Select the box for within intersection or on approach if the first harmful event of the crash occurs on an approach to or exit from an intersection and results from an activity, behavior, or control related to the movement of traffic units through the intersection. Check the box for within interchange area if the first harmful event occurs within boundaries which include all ramps of auxiliary roadways and include each roadway entering or leaving the interchange to a point 30 meters, 100 feet, beyond the gore or curb return at the outermost ramp connection. Interchange crashes may include at-intersection crashes, intersection-related crashes, driveway access crashes, or non-junction crashes. Enter a numeric value for the number of approaches into the intersection in which the crash occurred or near. The value should reflect the number of lanes that lead into the intersection or the number of approaches from which vehicles can enter the intersection. This caption should only be completed if the within intersection or on approach is checked. If within intersection or on approach is not checked, this box should be left blank. A new caption added is the direction of travel. This caption will only be completed when the crash occurs on a divided roadway. Enter the value that corresponds with the crash lane's direction of travel. For example, if Unit 1 and Unit 2 are eastbound on I-70 and Unit 2 strikes Unit 1 in the rear, the value entered would be 3 east. Another example would be Unit 1 is westbound on I-70 and Unit 2 is eastbound on I-70. Unit 1 crossed the median and strikes Unit 2 head-on. The value entered should be 3 east. This is the direction of travel for the lane in which the crash occurred. A new caption added to the crash report is total time roadway closed. The officer will enter the total time in minutes. Any or all of the through lanes of the roadway are closed due to a blockage from the crash. If a vehicle involved in a crash has an interlock device connected, check the interlock device equipped box. An interlock device is defined as a breath analyzer that monitors the concentration by weights of alcohol in the breath of any person attempting to start the motor vehicle. The unit type caption also changed as the previous version reported vehicle combinations. The revised OH-1 will focus on the power unit when reporting unit type. Once the unit type has been reported, the reporting person should also indicate whether there were any trailing units being pulled by the power unit. Two new captions focus on autonomous vehicles. For every crash, the person reporting the information will have to record whether the vehicle involved in the crash was operating in autonomous mode. If it is reported the vehicle was in autonomous mode, the level of autonomy will also have to be reported. Examples of lower-level autonomy is automatic emergency braking, lane keep assist, and adaptive cruise control. The levels are defined within the OH-1 manual. New options were added to the special function caption, such as electronic ride-sharing, towing, and safety service patrol. A modification was made to encompass all school transport vehicles as well. The manner in which vehicle damage is reported was modified. More vehicle diagrams were added, and the reporting person should shade in the boxes where the vehicle suffered damage related to the crash being investigated. Using the clock diagram around the vehicle illustrations, indicate where the initial point of contact was in the crash at hand. An extensive review and reduction was made in the area of contributing circumstances. There is no longer a difference between motorists and non-motorists contributing circumstances. Also, there is no longer a secondary contributing circumstance needed for crashes. The traffic wave flow was modified to report only one-way or two-way traffic at the location of the crash. Traffic control was reduced from 16 different options in the previous OH-1 to 6 options in the new OH-1. The number of through lanes should be reported with a numeric value. This is the number of lanes in the area of the crash that traffic can proceed through. This would include lanes with through movement, through and left turn or through and right turn, but not exclusive turn lanes. Rail grade crossings were broken out as its own caption. The reporting officer should indicate whether a rail grade crossing is involved, active crossing, or passive crossing. A stop or yield sign only would be defined as a passive grade crossing. When reporting the vehicle speed, the officer can now report if the speed was stated or estimated, calculated or pulled from the event data recorder, or undetermined. The injuries on the motorist/non-motorist page now correspond with the injury classifications on the front or crash page. The reporting officer should now be reporting the endorsement of the driver that pertains to the crash being investigated. The endorsement is applicable to the vehicle being operated at the time of the crash. For example, if the driver has a tanker endorsement, X, and a motorcycle endorsement, M, and was operating a motorcycle at the time of the crash, only the motorcycle endorsement should be reported on the OH-1. Restrictions should be reported in the same manner as endorsements. Enter up to 3 restrictions that are applicable to the crash being investigated. The options for driver distraction were upgraded to reflect changing technology. The impairment of the driver caption was modified, and now officers will select alcohol, marijuana, other drug, or any combination of the 3 options. Condition of the driver was also modified, and an option of unknown was added. The state of Ohio will now start capturing what drugs the drivers are testing positive for. The officer can select up to 4 of the options based on the results of toxicology tests. The formatting of the form was also modified. The motorist/non-motorist page is now only for drivers or pedestrians involved in the crash. Up to 3 drivers or pedestrians can be listed on this page. All occupants and witnesses will now be listed on the OH-1P. Now, let's answer some questions some of you may have. What if my vendor for electronic crashes isn't ready by January 1st, 2019? Answer: crashes can be reported with OLIS, Ohio Law Enforcement Information System, which is a free program offered by the Ohio Department of Public Safety. OLIS offers a calls for service module, case module, electronic crash module, and e-citation module. More information on OLIS can be found on the Ohio Highway Safety Office website. Crashes can also be reported via the paper form until a vendor can have the program ready. Question: what if a unit is dispatched to a crash that occurred at 23:45 hours on December 31st, 2018? Answer: a crash reported after January 1st, 2019 can be reported on the new revised OH-1 form. The 2019 form can be used on 2018 crashes, but the 2018 form cannot be used on 2019 crashes. Question: what form should be used to supplement 2018 crashes? Crash supplements can be done on a 2018 form or the 2019 form. Question: how do I order the new OH-1? Answer: forms can be ordered at www.publicsafety.ohio.gov. The manual for the new form can also be ordered at this site. Question: what do I need to do if I'm already an OLIS user? Answer: if you are an existing OLIS user, the program will automatically update to the revised version of the OH-1 when you log in after January 1st, 2019.